Welcome, brothers and sisters, to the Meher Baba program. I'm your host, Fred Stankus, along with my co-host, Suhas Ginde. Welcome, Suhas.
Thank you.
We are covering Lord Meher. It's the epic work by Baba Kalchuri about the autobiography of Avatar Meher Baba. Actually, the biography of Avatar Meher Baba. And from his date of birth, his masters, through his years of schooling, and his early years as a master with his disciples. And we are now in that period of his early years. The year is approximately 1930. We're in a mountain region of Mahabaleshwar. It's called Panchgani. It's somewhat of a hillside station, a retreat, something like maybe you'd be up in the mountains in the Big Bear or Sierras here, where it's cooler than being down low. And there are caves there where one can actually spend time in silence or alone in meditation. Well, Baba was preparing for a seclusion in one of these caves. And we pick up as Baba is now with his disciples preparing for that. And Suhas, you're going to comment about what Baba has to say about his going into this state of work in the seclusion.
Okay, well, I wanted to kind of set a little bit before we get into that. It starts out, after a few days, Baba wished to enter seclusion in the forest of Panchgani Valley near Mahabaleshwar. This is the hill station of this resort where people go to cool off in the summer months. On April 2nd, he sent Kale Mama to Panchgani in order to arrange things.
That's a man, Kale Mama.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a name that K-A-L-E.
Mama means uncle.
Uncle, okay.
Kale. Kale could have been his last name. Until the arrangements were complete, Baba decided to return to Meherabad. He informed Pleader, one of his disciples, to stay in Nasik and continue fasting on milk. He also sent him this assuring message: I'm arranging a good place of seclusion for myself and the Mandali, the disciples. When all is settled, I will send for you. For the first time before issuing a circular, Baba showed it to the Mandali for their opinion. It read, 3 months after I go into seclusion, I will make Pleader enter the path. Otherwise, he will be free to go anywhere and do anything he pleases. And Pleader will have no further connection with me. He was trying to get Pleader to get realization, so he was keeping him under seclusion and fasting.
So is that why he put him on this fasting of milk?
Milk.
In other words,
only milk, no
in
solid
other words,
food.
This is something the audience should not undertake. It's like this is under a master's supervision
and
orders and knowing what he's doing.
Yes.
And so, would you have something you could describe as to why Baba chose this particular fast for him? What do you think was going on though in this Pleader that he was told to fast?
He had come to Baba seeking God realization. I think Baba must have seen that he was sincere in his intentions.
In other words, it wasn't just lip service. He was
really serious about getting it. And Baba then had asked him, if you will do as I say, I'll give you the God realization. And then he'd asked him to fast. And this time he told him to fast on milk.
So do you think we, lay people in the viewership and ourselves should also fast? Should we fast without reason or just for the sake of maybe we'll gain something?
Well,
what do you think?
You can fast for purposes of health. If you feel like
But do you think if one fasts, does one get any kind of spiritual upliftment or consciousness?
There is some spiritual benefits, of course, from fasting, but one should not seek it and become tied to that because the ego gets involved. And then you get stuck into...
And it's quite hard to fast because your body craves for nutrients.
Yes.
And I've tried fasting. I've gone maybe a couple days drinking liquids, but afterwards I am sort of like weak. And sometimes actually, if you could go 3 days, I've never went 3, they say you actually... the weakness turns into a rush, you feel energy, and so forth. Unfortunately, I haven't got back past 2 days. Have you ever fasted?
From time to time, yes, but not for 3 days, maybe a day, just to cleanse the system.
But boy,
drink water.
You become ravenous, don't you?
Yes, maybe I fasted without solid food, maybe just drinking liquids. But yes, it gives you a little bit of a rush, as you say, and you feel a little lightheaded. Also,
well, in this movie coming out now, The Passion, Mel Gibson's movie, it's the Garden of Gethsemane, and Jesus is fasting. I guess he foresees what's coming to him. But so that's also, maybe it's sort of a detachment from the world too.
Well, you have to understand something. Masters are detached totally from their physical body. They go through the motions, but they're really not attached to it. All masters, because they become one with the divine.
So you're saying they only eat because of social etiquette and they don't need to eat?
Baba very rarely ate a lot of food. He would eat maybe a handful of rice and dal. He would basically live on like weak coffee or tea. When he was in seclusion and fasting, he would drink water.
So the way you picture this, or the way I picture it, is my ravenous appetite actually makes me look like a very gross conscious human being. Mm-hmm. Because when I eat, I am very, very robust in my eating and habits. And I think a person that's refined in their eating, it maybe shows actually
appreciate the food more.
Well, no, but also if they eat little, they almost are on the line of saying they are more refined and not attached to the gross. I mean, if you were to say, if you were wanting to look at a picture of a ravenous man eating like a maniac, or one who is refined and just chews his food nice and slowly, and so maybe there's something emotionally about that.
Yes, and it could be due to sanskaras and so on that you have to experience and get over it and so on. It also eating habits that you may have acquired through growing up and so on, but that can also be changed.
Yeah, so we got that on fasting. Now, thank you. Now we go on.
Okay, so on April 2nd, some of the Mandali complained to Baba. Staying with you is nothing but harassment.
So the Mandali are his disciples.
His close disciples.
Those who
lived with him.
They call them Mandali.
Yeah, it comes from mandal, which means the circle. So Mandali.
So just be like saying apostles, they could be called Mandali.
Circle of the master. So Mandali, they said, staying with you is nothing but harassment.
They were saying this to Baba?
Yes. Life is full of hardships now. There is no other thought in our minds and hearts except death. We look happy to others. We eat and drink with everyone who comes, but who sees the dagger piercing our hearts?
My God.
So they were suffering internally.
They're basically saying they're so miserable that death is the only thing that will free them.
Yeah, they were complaining.
My God.
Baba is just about to go into seclusion.
And this is his early years. These disciples are young.
Yeah, they were in the training.
It was like boot camp or something.
Yeah, but they had been trained sufficiently. And they'd been deprived of luxuries and excellent food, and so they ate very simple food. Now in reply, Meher Baba explained, consoling them, it is my grace. This is my real mercy which descends on a very, very select few. These are my friends. They are my lovers to whom I give the gift of sorrow and distress.
What? That's a gift? Sorrow and distress?
Well, perhaps it is to help them unwind out of their attachment.
My, this is poetic.
Yes. It is a gift much greater than gold, of incalculable value and not given to all. This gift is only for my beloved children. We masters can grant a world of gold, of happiness and prosperity to others by our blessings. But this is rare and great gift of privations, troubles, and suffering is destined for only a few. This fasting and so on. So don't be anxious. Remember that I love most those whose hearts I pierce, and who though their hearts are wounded, stay with me, and stick to me through thick and thin. Were I to use my dagger on outsiders, meaning they would not dare approach me. I keep them happy with praise and encouragement so that they may be in my contact and gradually be fit to bow down to me in the real sense of the word. For my friends, I kill them, and it is my highest mercy on them. By kill them, he means
the ego, breaking their ego, their mind.
And also makes them suffer and deprives them. What is my mercy? What is my grace? It is your trouble and harassment.
Can you please, the viewership I'm sure is anxious to have an explanation. Why does a master, basically shower his close ones with what he called his blessings.
In the form of suffering.
Form of suffering and things, because I'm sure a viewer listening to this will say, my God, I'm going to run as fast as I can from that. So, but he said this is for the privileged few. If a person that does not know about him, he just does the opposite, gives them what they want. You want blessings, money, riches, family, babies, go ahead. But to those that are ready for this path, is that it?
Yes.
But the thing is, it's like almost when you join the Marines. They put you through a severe test.
A boot camp.
Or if you become even special forces or something. These guys are elite, soldiers who pass rigorous trials and tribulations. But at the end, when they go through all this, they come out so strong and so, aware.
Trained.
Is this perhaps sort of a simile? I mean, it's a little bit extreme.
Yeah, in the sense that, these people were selected by Baba. They had shown a desire for realization. They had shown a desire that they wanted something better for themselves.
And he knew that they were ready.
When he had chosen them, maybe this is 1930, they had come to him like 1921, 22, when he first started his...
Right. So they were with him 7-8 years.
He selected these people because they had shown that they wanted to be closer and closer to God, and they also had a love for God. That Baba had taught them when he was in Manzil Mim in Bombay, in Dadar, and also when he came to Mirazad and Meherabad, and they started doing that Gamela yoga where they were doing hard work, clearing all the brush, making the place livable. So he put them through all that strenuous activity, hardships. They were eating just coarse rice and dal, simple food, lentils and rice. And not luxuries. They were sleeping either on the floor, on mats, through the cold, the rain, whatever. They were probably given blankets, but I'm just saying, this is not for everybody who goes. They had surrendered to Baba
the thing is, though,
life.
So what you're saying, a person has somewhat of an ulterior motive when they undertake something. I mean, the mind is still there. So what you're telling me now, if I was one of them, I'd perhaps say, okay, my plum, my reward is I'm going to get some experience on the spiritual planes, or perhaps even God realization through this being which I respect as a...
I entrust my life
to them. And he says he will look after me. But I have to obey him. If I don't want to obey him, these people were free to go.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they could walk out at any time and just say, this is too much.
And some people probably did leave him after so many years of being with him. But he asked them to leave him if they were not ready to obey him 100%. But when they lived under his guidance...
But a person's mind would have to be ready for this, their heart. I mean,
this is not for the layman.
Nobody from the street could walk in and say, excuse me, I'm applying for this discipleship.
No.
I want to get God realization in order to run a country. I want to be in charge of something. I want to go through this training that you give. He wouldn't take them in, would he? Because he would know, just through seeing them, he would know their heart, their mind.
Exactly.
So he knows...
was chosen, selected people from a large...
And there's very few of these souls in the world. I mean, Meher Baba is an avatar, like Jesus, Buddha, Ram, Krishna, Muhammad, Zoroaster, and you look upon...
Ram and Krishna.
Yeah, Ram and Krishna. You look upon the amount of people in the world who are prepared for such a journey. I mean, in fact, isn't it said, Baba has said in previous discourses or things that we've covered, that his circle of disciples have been connected in past advents to another avatar.
Yes.
Like Jesus or Allah or Muhammad or Krishna, and they were connected either on a periphery.
With the avatar.
Yeah, with the avatar. So some of them don't get God realization in that particular advent. They don't want it. They come back again and are born around him.
To serve him in a physical form.
Right. So it's something that the masses themselves are aspiring to reach God realization. I guess Baba says through 8,400,000 births and deaths to attain the path. I mean, that's another story itself.
But again, these, just like Baba himself had to be awakened or unveiled by the kiss by Hazrat Baba Jan. See, a lot of these people, they also have to be taught and also disciplined to work with him. And that was his goal, was to perfect his mandali or his circle. That's one of the goals, he said, that the avatar comes, is to perfect his circle and give them another push, and also his work with the musts, the people who are intoxicated with God and who are oblivious to their surroundings. We've covered this before.
Yeah, and I speak from first-hand experience. I've met Erich.
Yes.
It was mentioned later on in maybe our next show, but he was a youngster of 14 in 1930. He just passed on a couple of years ago. He was in his late 80s. But the idea of it is, and Erich was, I consider, a man amongst men. I've never met a man in my life that was so strong physically, but yet inside he had a feeling just like a butter. I mean, you would just feel this love and warmth, but you felt his discipline, but you felt at the same time his acceptance. And I don't think many men in the world have that combination.
No.
I could see him sitting on a board of directors of a corporation, or I could also see him as a head monk in a monastery. That's the kind of broad, diverse personality he had. And it was through probably serving the God-man.
Serving Baba, and also he had rock-like faith in Baba's divinity.
Exactly.
And he was here to serve his master. Stephen says that he would rather come back again and not have this God realization privilege.
That's what he said.
He said if Baba took form in another lifetime, he wanted to be by his side.
He didn't want God realization?
No, because once you get God realization, you don't reincarnate again. The soul's journey is over. You get merged by the drop gets merged.
So what you're saying, each individual is experiencing a segment of what the experiences are to realize God. In other words, God wants to know everything, and so each one of our
totality we do not experience. We only experience God in a limited way.
But each of our individual lives are our own experience and expression of the totality of the experience of consciousness of God, and everybody's experience is unique.
Of course.
It's unique. The path, the suffering, the trials and tribulations.
Yes, and from time to time you're going to get glimpses of this divinity.
Right.
But then it's forgotten, and you get caught up again into the external.
So
this
we
is why
continue
the
on.
masters come. So then we go on to
What's
this. Did you want to talk?
What page are you covering now?
1296.
What's that about?
1295. That was about in all religions.
So why don't we go on to that one page you tell that 1319 where you came up saints and saints love lovers of God. Where Baba was talking about he was giving this discourse about saints.
Yes, what happened is, this is when he was in Kashmir now, Srinagar, which is the capital of Kashmir. So
right,
he's over
beautiful
there,
place.
Somewhere in the middle of the June 15th, around that time. So he says, a newspaper editor named R.N. Kalia came to see Baba. Kalia said, I'm now trying to make as much money as possible so that I may be able to invite saints like you to my house. I wish to serve saints and keep them in comfort. So this was the desire of this businessman, or this editor of a newspaper.
Sounds innocent enough.
Remember, in 1930, many people considered Baba to be a perfect master or a saint. He had not declared that he was the avatar till 1954.
Right.
So, and also he traveled a lot incognito. He didn't want a lot of publicity and have a lot of people, because you know how the media is. Meher Baba's reply was especially poignant. Saints love lovers of God, even if they are poor. Those who are rich, but without love, saints will never like. Your objective is good, but the way in which you intend to fulfill it is doubtful. In your enthusiasm to get money, you are likely to resort to undesirable means, perhaps even becoming unscrupulous. It is better for you to remain poor with an honest and loving heart, instead of collecting riches by dishonest means. Keep the company of saints and have love for God. You will surely achieve the aim of your life. Your ideal of service is only a means to an end, and not the end itself. So try to go further until you attain the highest and noblest end itself. To say that only a few selected ones gain entrance onto the path does not mean you should not try. Why be drowned in Maya or illusion when you can rise out of it and be drowned in the ocean of bliss and knowledge? A real saint wants only love and devotion from his devotees, not money, not luxurious comforts. Try to create divine love within your heart by longing for God, and you will have everything.
You know, that is so poignant because, I mean, there are some gurus and other kind of teachers throughout the world that insist on a little bit of financial support.
Sure, but do they have...
And if they don't have the financial support, you're not as welcome into the group. And so Baba basically was saying, a true master
is a lover of God.
A lover of God appreciates the wealth of your love for God more than any material things.
And that was something that Baba stressed all the time. It is love for God.
So, I mean, I don't want to get controversial, but some of these cable or these other network religious programs, you know, sometimes ask for money, I guess, to keep on the air. I guess that's the reason. But
did you want to show this picture?
Oh, yeah, here's a nice picture.
1920s. This is a picture,
nice picture of Baba in the 20s.
This was in the 50s or 60s.
Yeah, this is Meher Baba in the 20s.
In Kashmir.
Yeah. That's a great shot. Thank you.
It's garlanded.
Yeah, so...
and then I wanted to discuss another thing here about when he was still up there. In the town of Damel, a Punjabi man from the state of Punjab met Baba and asked if he believed in the Gita, the Bhagavad Gita, which is the holy book of the Hindus, like the Bible is to the Christians. And Baba gave him a succinct reply, I not only believe in it, in the Gita, I experience it every moment. Mere intellectual understanding is not sufficient. You may read holy books for the rest of your life, but that will not take you an inch nearer to God if you have no desire to see Him, to experience Him, or to know Him.
You know something that is so strong, because I think I want to seek God, and I have all the Bible books you could imagine in my library, but I don't refer to them on a regular basis, and I don't have that burning desire. Maybe I do. But, you know, that sort of hits home with me, that you think you're a pursuer of the path, but it has to be burning, it has to be daily, it has to be with you almost hourly, you know, thinking of Him, wanting in Him.
All the time.
Well, you say it's just like a love affair with, when you're in love with a woman.
Think about it night and
You think about it, beloved, you're always thinking you're on fire for that. That's the same kind of fervent, you know, longing you must have for God. But most people say, well, God is abstract to me, this and that.
He is.
What is He, you know? How can I know? What does that mean? Of course, we're fortunate enough to know about Meher Baba, and he said that if you think of me, like he says once, say things, do things, think things that you would if I was in your presence. Yes. Which, of course, sometimes we forget. We say things that
He is in the Spirit. Now, I wanted to comment a little bit. When he says see Him, is not, you cannot see God with your gross eyes. It's an inner seeing, insight. The only thing you can see with your gross eyes is the avatar, who is the image or the reflection of the state of Godhood in a human form. You see, you are able to see Baba.
Yeah, the picture, the photo.
But God, like Paramatma, when he talks about a God the Father, which is abstract, you cannot see.
Oh, is that what Arjuna saw when Krishna gave him the sight?
He was given divine sight
and then
to see his,
Arjuna almost said, it's too much.
To see his transcendental form, not his physical form.
Yeah, I mean,
it was too scary.
It was overwhelming.
Yes, and he had to do that to convince Arjuna on the battlefield where he gave the Gita to go into battle and not worry, because he was giving him the conviction that he was speaking as the divine. So he gave him the transcendental image of God in which everything goes out of. And
we got 2 minutes left. No, so if you got any other comments on this particular one, there's 2 minutes. If you have something else that you wanted to continue on with that train of thought in regards to the that quotation you said.
Yes, and then to experience God, well, that again comes through a lot of discipline and so on. That's what the disciples were going through, because the Bible says you have to see God, experience Him, and get to know Him. And you only know God not by what we are talking about. This is just explanations, and so they're not going to get you anywhere. But that's why He says if you read holy books for the rest of your life, you will not take an inch nearer to Him. But the objective is to have desire to see Him, experience Him, and to know Him. And that comes from having love or devotion, what they call in India bhakti. Bhakti is you have to have an ideal of what God is, and you have to have love for this ideal. And it has to be like perfect in every way. And since you cannot see that with the physical eyes, that entity, Satchitananda state, takes on a human form, so you can then relate to it. When you look into the mirror, you see your physical self. But you do not see the transcendental aspect of Baba. Some of them must. These people are on higher involution planes. They're able to see with their inner eye His divine form.
That's a great way to end the show, Suhas. Looks like we're getting the wrap sign. So thank you again. We'll be seeing you next week for part 2, or actually this will be part 8 of the series on Lord Meher. And until next time, Fred Stankus along with Suhas Ginde, as Meher Baba says, don't worry.
Be happy in my love and I will help you.
Thank you. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.